Imagine for a moment the India of August 1947. Not the unified nation we see on maps today, but this sprawling, fragmented land. Hundreds upon hundreds of independent entities, each with its own ruler, its own history, its own legacy. It's a truly incredible, almost chaotic image, isn't it?
It really is a veritable patchwork, as you say, just a collection of disparate parts that somehow had to be stitched together into a coherent whole. The task was, well, monumental.
And that's our mission today. We're taking a deep dive into that incredible and often pretty challenging process of political integration that transformed this bewildering patchwork into the coherent map of modern India. We've got a stack of your sources here, and we're going to sift through them to uncover just how this seemingly impossible feat was achieved.
Yeah.
Because, the sheer scale of the challenge, it just can't be overstated.
Absolutely. We're talking about over 600 princely states. Now, these were autonomous entities that had existed under British suzerainty.
Right, so they acknowledged British power but weren't directly ruled.
Exactly. Plus, you still had territories under Portuguese and French control, all of them needing to be brought into the new Indian Union. A staggering challenge right from day one.
Okay, so how did they even begin? Our sources make it clear that two central figures really drove this monumental task, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru.
Their leadership was absolutely critical.
Especially navigating this incredible period of decolonization, the process, of course, of ending colonial rule, transferring power.
Yeah.
Which all culminated in India's independence on August 15th, 1947.
That's right. And this immediately set the stage for the next challenge. With the British gone, these princely states, they were given a stark choice: integrate into the new Indian Union, or, well, try to remain independent.
A pivotal moment.
Absolutely, for the very future of the nation.
And if they had all opted for independence, gosh, it would have been a very different story indeed. But this is where Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel comes in. Serving as the first deputy prime minister and home minister, he really demonstrated his strategic brilliance.
He did. He pursued what our sources describe as a conciliatory approach, really trying to win the confidence of most rulers.
And it worked, mostly.
It did, surprisingly well in many cases. What's truly fascinating is that while force was, always an option, Patel's strategic choice was diplomacy, offering guarantees of privy purses, maintaining certain titles, appealing to a shared vision.
Right.
And it proved incredibly effective. Most states responded positively and merged with India. It really showcases the power of persuasion over coercion in uniting such diverse entities.
But there were exceptions.
Yes, there were 3 significant exceptions that initially resisted integration: Junagadh, Hyderabad, and Kashmir.
Okay, so after Patel's initial successes, these 3 crucial pieces of the puzzle remain stubbornly out of place. Let's start with Junagadh, a princely state in Maharashtra in what is now Gujarat. Here, the Nawab made a surprising and highly controversial decision. He declared his intention to join Pakistan.
Yeah, despite his state being geographically surrounded by Indian territory and, crucially, having a population that overwhelmingly wanted to join India.
That sounds like a ticking time bomb.
It absolutely was. The local population's opposition was just so vehement, so widespread that the Nawab simply couldn't sustain his position.
What happened?
Faced with immense popular pressure, he ended up fleeing to Pakistan. Then, in February 1948, the state held a plebiscite, a direct vote of the people.
And?
It overwhelmingly confirmed their desire to join India. So Junagadh subsequently merged with India, a clear victory for popular will, really.
Okay, Junagadh was a victory for popular will, but what happens when that will is brutally suppressed? That brings us to Hyderabad, a princely state on an entirely different scale.
Oh yes, much larger, much more complex, and frankly, a darker challenge to India's integration.
Our sources describe Hyderabad as the largest princely state in India, a sprawling region comprising Telugu, Kannada, and Marathi-speaking areas.
And ruled by the Nizam, who severely restricted the civil and political rights of his subjects. It was quite autocratic.
So naturally there was resistance.
Yes, significant resistance. Organizations like Andhra Parishad in Telangana, Maharashtra Parishad in Marathwada, and Karnataka Parishad were formed specifically to fight against the Nizam's policies and demand better rights.
And our sources mention a key figure here, Swami Ramanand Tirth.
Deeply woven into the fabric of this struggle, he skillfully led the Hyderabad Freedom Movement and founded the Hyderabad State Congress, which vociferously advocated for Hyderabad's merger with India.
But the Nizam wasn't having it.
No, he clung fiercely to his power. He strongly opposed any merger, fearing the loss of his absolute authority. Like the Nawab of Junagadh, he even, entertained the idea of joining Pakistan.
Wow. And he had support.
He relied heavily on Qasim Razvi and his organization, the Razakars.
Ah, the Razakars. The sources mention them.
Yes, and they grimly detail how the Razakar members committed many atrocities against those fighting for democracy and integration. It got very violent.
So the Nizam truly dug in his heels. The sources say he was adamant on his policies and averse to any negotiations. Just shut down every avenue for peaceful resolution.
Pretty much. At that point, the Indian government felt it saw no other option.
So intervention.
That's the crux of it. With the diplomatic road exhausted and the Razakars escalating their violence, India launched a swift police campaign, codenamed Operation Polo.
Operation Polo. Okay.
And on September 17, 1948, the Nizam finally surrendered. Hyderabad state was merged into India. What's fascinating here is the sheer scale of direct state intervention required when popular will was so brutally suppressed. It contrasts sharply with the Junagadh approach, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
And it's important to recognize that the fight for Hyderabad's integration wasn't just confined to the Nizam's capital, right? Our sources particularly highlight Marthwada's significant contribution.
Absolutely. It showcases the true people's movement it was. Leaders like Swami Ramanand Tirth himself, Govampai Shroff, Ved Prakash, Shamlal, they were actively involved. Many became martyrs.
And September 17th is still celebrated
as Marathwada Liberation Day because of their efforts. It's a powerful testament to the broad-based resistance. It underscores that while the eventual outcome involved military action, the underlying momentum came from decades of grassroots activism and sacrifice.
Right. Okay, so that's Hyderabad. And perhaps no region illustrates the complexity and the lasting challenges of integration more vividly than Kashmir.
No, Kashmir, yeah.
Our sources indicate King Hari Singh initially opted for a very different path, didn't he?
He did. King Hari Singh, the ruler of Kashmir, initially decided to remain independent. He chose not to accede to either India or Pakistan right after independence. He hoped to maintain a separate, sort of neutral status.
But Pakistan had other ideas.
It seems so. They began to exert pressure, and then on October 2010, 1947, armed bands of intruders, essentially tribal militias backed by Pakistan, launched a full-scale attack on Kashmir from the Pakistan border.
An invasion, basically.
Plain and simple. Faced with this dire situation, King Hari Singh's hand was forced. He immediately requested Indian assistance.
And the key legal step.
Crucially, on October 27, 1947, he officially signed the Instrument of Accession. That's the legal document transferring control over defense, external affairs, and communications to India.
Okay.
Only then, with Kashmir legally part of the Union, did the Indian Army deploy to defend the region.
And the army managed to push them back.
They recaptured a significant portion of the territory, yes. But some parts remained under the control of these armed intruders. So in 1948, India presented the Kashmir issue to the United Nations,
making it an international dispute.
Exactly. But unfortunately, the UN couldn't persuade Pakistan to withdraw its troops from the occupied territory. It led to a long-standing impasse.
And this situation directly led to Kashmir's unique status within India.
That's right. Our sources explain that the National Conference Party, the main political force in Kashmir at the time, initially favored a plebiscite, a direct vote to decide the ultimate fate.
But that couldn't happen.
Not really, given the ongoing conflict and the Pakistani occupation of part of the territory. Holding a fair vote was impossible, so a different path was taken. The Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir was drafted, establishing it as an integral part of the Republic of India, but, and this is the key part, with a special status under Article 370.
Article 370.
Yes. This article essentially granted Kashmir greater autonomy, including its own constitution and flag, while limiting the applicability of central Indian laws. A very specific arrangement born out of unique circumstances.
So a very different outcome, using very different methods again. Junagadh, Hyderabad, Kashmir, all quite distinct. Now let's shift our focus beyond British India. What about the other colonial enclaves?
Right, the Portuguese and French territories.
It was generally expected that after the British left, they would just, hand over their regions to India and depart. But as our sources note, that didn't happen automatically.
No, it didn't. The struggles for integration continued for these territories, some of which had been under European rule for centuries.
Let's start with Dadra and Nagar Haveli, still under Portuguese dominion at this point.
Tucked away in the interior parts of the Gujarat coast and nestled on the northern banks of the river Damanganga.
And when the Portuguese didn't leave as anticipated.
The local people rose up against them. Organizations like the United Front of Goans and Azad Gomantak Dal came together, meticulously planning a campaign to free these regions. This was a real grassroots movement.
And they really intensified the struggle, didn't they?
They did. In 1954, leaders like Francis Mascarenhas and Vimal Sardesai of the Azad Gomantak Dal led fierce protests. The people themselves actually captured Nagar Haveli.
Wow.
While the United Front of Goans took hold of Dadra. Other surrounding areas like Neroli and Pimperia were also liberated.
So the Portuguese army.
The unrest was so significant, the local resistance so overwhelming, they had no choice but to retreat and surrender. The government of India then appointed K.G. Badalani to restore administration.
And the merger.
Dadra and Nagar Haveli were effectively merged with India on August 2nd, 1954. Later, in 1961, they formally became a union territory. It's a powerful example of direct citizen action driving change.
Okay, speaking of Portuguese rule, let's talk about Goa. Under their control for over 450 years.
A staggering period of foreign domination, yes.
And the movement to liberate Goa actually began even before India's independence.
It did. Our sources mention the Goa Congress Committee being founded in Mumbai as early as 1928, with Dr. T.V. Kuna as its president.
And it continued for decades.
Yes, decades of persistent efforts. You see Quit Goa slogans emerging in 1939. Dr. Manohar Lohia's civil disobedience movement in 1946.
Which led to arrests.
Yes, arrests and imprisonment of many leaders, including Dr. T.B. Kunha himself.
And after India gained independence, the movement gained even more momentum, especially from neighboring Maharashtra.
That's right. In 1954, the Goa Vimoshan Sayak Samiti was founded in Pune, with leaders like Keshavarao Jedhe and N.G. Gore. Volunteers marched to Goa. One brave group even unfurled the Indian flag on Panaji Fort.
It wasn't just political negotiations then, it was deeply emotional, deeply felt.
Absolutely. And the contribution of Mohan Ranade is especially highlighted in our sources.
What did he do?
He systematically conducted anti-Portuguese propaganda, even initiated an armed struggle. He was actually shot during an attack and remained imprisoned until 1972. A truly incredible story of dedication. Publications like Acharya P.K. Atra's Maratha newspaper also served as powerful platforms for supporting the movement.
That raises an important point, doesn't it? About the sheer endurance of these struggles.
It really does. Decades of activism, imprisonment, even armed resistance. It truly speaks to the depth of public sentiment that was building up.
Absolutely. And it shows that integration wasn't just a top-down decree, but often a deeply rooted, bottom-up fight for liberation. It must have pushed leaders like Nehru to finally act.
It seems the strong public sentiments eventually moved Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru to make a decisive move. Our sources detail Operation Vijay.
Operation Vijay, right?
Where the Indian Army descended on Goa. And interestingly, they were even assisted by local civilians who bravely helped identify Portuguese landmines.
That was swift.
Incredibly swift. The Indian forces, with that crucial local support, secured Goa, and the Portuguese surrendered within 48 hours.
Amazing.
On December 19, 1961, Goa officially became a part of the Indian Republic, marking the end of 450 years of foreign rule. A truly historic moment, not just for Goa, but for India's complete political map.
Okay, so that covers the Portuguese territories. What about the French colonies? Puducherry and other dispersed regions like Karakal, Mahe, Yanam, Chandranagar?
They remained French colonies after 1947. And the French government, unlike the Portuguese, who eventually faced direct action, was actually quite unwilling to surrender them initially.
So how did that play out differently?
Well, unlike the Portuguese enclaves, where popular uprisings often led to direct intervention, the French situation involved perhaps more nuanced diplomacy, combined with local pressure.
Local pressure-like.
In Puducherry, the people united under V. Subaya, a communist politician and trade unionist. They formed a formidable local movement demanding integration.
And the Indian government stance.
Very strong, persistently demanding the return of these regions. This eventually led to a bilateral agreement in June 1948.
An agreement, too.
To effectively set the stage for resolving the Puducherry issue through a combination of negotiations, public movements, and governmental actions. A framework for handover.
So it happened in phases.
Exactly. First, Chandranagar merged with India after a positive public poll in 1949-50, clearly signaling the popular will.
Okay.
Then, on November 1st, 1954, another bilateral agreement led to the formal merger of all the remaining French colonies. This was supported by votes in their own respective legislative assemblies and municipal corporations.
So local democratic endorsement as well.
Yes. And finally, the French Parliament approved this agreement in 1962. Puducherry was officially declared a Union territory in 1963.
It really highlights how India skillfully employed very diplomatic approaches, didn't it? Adapting to the specific colonial power and the local circumstances.
Yeah.
Very different from Goa or Hyderabad.
Indeed. What we've seen today, really, is how the combined efforts of visionary leaders like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, alongside the sheer resilience and determination of local people.
Absolutely crucial.
And these various forms of struggle, from shrewd negotiation and persuasion to popular uprisings and even decisive military operations, all converge to achieve the successful political integration of India.
It's such a complex, multifaceted story, isn't it? One that truly shaped the nation we know today. So as you reflect on this incredible period of nation building, maybe consider this. Given the diverse methods used to bring these regions into the Indian Union, diplomacy, persuasion, police actions, military operations, what does this intricate history reveal about the very nature of nation building itself? And, that often delicate, often tense balance between the ideal and sometimes absolute necessity.
It's a fascinating question. It encourages us to think critically about the choices made under immense pressure, the sacrifices endured by countless individuals, and the ultimate intricate shape of a nation forged from such diverse origins. A lot to ponder.